I've taken the time to study the all-22 coaches film from the Buffalo Bills playoff win over the Denver Broncos, and I'm sharing my top takeaways with you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Well, folks, welcome in. Time for the All-22 review, focusing in on this Denver Broncos beatdown by the Buffalo Bills, 31-7. Want to share with you some of the keys to the game plan for Buffalo, and, of course, just what the film said to me when I studied it on Monday. We'll do studs and duds. We'll do snap counts. Also have some special team stuff that I want to talk about here today, including the fake punt, but then also what I would categorize as the best day of special teams the Bills have had all season long. So let's break it down. Let's start with the offense. And really, I thought the offensive success for the Bills was rooted in three things. Number one, handling the blitz and pressure. We know that Denver's been a very good pressure team, very good blitz team. The Bills' vertical passing game, and then, of course, the run game that was really dominant in this football game. And so, of course, what I want to do is ask the question, well, why were those things so good for the Bills? And so, starting with handling the blitz, handling pressure looks, Josh was terrific. The Broncos blitzed him a ton, just like they blitzed every quarterback. 38% of the time in this game. Josh Allen was 10 of 12, 141 yards and a touchdown against the blitz. He had an EPA per dropback of plus 0.85. For the season, opposing quarterbacks against Denver's blitz have minus 0.09 expected points added per dropback. Josh was at plus 0.85, and Josh has been great against the blitz all year. I'm not surprised that he was so good against the blitz on Sunday. In fact, Josh Allen for the season was number 2 in EPA per dropback against the blitz. So why? Well, I think, first of all, he knows where his answers are. When they send pressure, Josh knows where the defense is going to be vulnerable, knows how to get to his answers. And he found the tight ends, slot players, and running backs. I talked all week. This was not the game for Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman or Mac Hollins to be heavily featured, and they weren't. This was a game for backs, tight ends, and slot players. And so against the blitz, that's who we went to. Shakir, Samuel, Kincaid, Knox, and occasionally the running backs. Then I would say another reason why the Bills were successful against pressure and blitzes is the Bills don't really take losses in pass protection. Occasionally, right? Zach Allen got by David Edwards. That stuff happens rarely. But the Bills, when they pass block, they play with good technique and fundamentals and keep people at bay. So you can send pressure. Doesn't mean it's going to get home. And I thought this was a good example of, hey, the protection scheme won the reps. And then I'll also say Denver was very cautious. Now, they blitzed, but they were cautious. They were very concerned with allowing Josh Allen to get outside the pocket and extend and make plays. It's a good thing to be concerned about. The problem is you still have to try to beat the box. And they were so concerned with not getting past the quarterback or not staying in their rush lanes that it took away from their ability to really sell out and get after Josh. Now, look, it's a tough assignment. And the Bills have an assignment like that next week against Lamar Jackson. It's frustrating to go against these quarterbacks that can really get outside of structure and make you pay or win with their legs as a runner. But Denver, you could tell there was a very dialed-in approach that they didn't want to get too far out of the structure of their rush plans or else they knew Josh would kill him. Well, You didn't, and Josh still killed you, right? It's kind of a pick your poison type thing. But then also, and this has been true for the Bills all year long, they continue to be very diverse with personnel, with formations, with scheme. So when you're going up against Buffalo, you got a lot to deal with. First of all, there's no go-to receiver. They throw the ball to everybody. Imagine watching that game. Let's say you hadn't really watched the Bills all year long. You see, wow, they're good. They're the 2 seed. I know Josh Allen's good. They won 13 games. And you're watching them play, and you're like, who's Ty Johnson, right? Oh, Curtis Samuel? I thought he was on the Panthers, right? Like, those were the guys. Those were the guys making plays. There's no Jamar Chase. There's no Justin Jefferson. There's no Steph Diggs. And any given week, certain guys are going to be featured more than others. It's just a lot to deal with. So if you want to send pressure and blitz, okay. The Bills have so many different players that they're comfortable throwing the ball to that it makes it difficult for that defense to really lean into that, because there's not this one thing that you can take away. So I believe those are the reasons why the Bills handled the blitz so well. Let's talk vertical passing. Josh Allen, 4 out of 5, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns on throws 20 yards or more down the field. And folks, vertical passing has not been a strength of this offense all season long, like at all. Bottom 5 in any meaningful metric of measuring the success of something that a team does. They cranked it up for this one. 4 out of 5, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. The only miss was the Keon Coleman. Josh just way off on that throw. But looking at the 4 deep connections, Curtis Samuel, Ty Johnson, those were touchdowns. And then he had a completion each to Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. Let's talk about these real quick. Curtis Samuel, first play of the fourth quarter, it's an over route. Pat Surtain's got a little bit of cushion there. And let's just be honest, Curtis Samuel is a 4-3 athlete. Patrick Surtain's a great player. He's a good athlete, but he can't run with Curtis Samuel on an over route. The protection holds up. Josh Allen puts it on Curtis Samuel, and then a great play by Curtis to cut back inside, broke 2 pursuit angles, broke a tackle, scored a touchdown. The play to Ty Johnson. This is one of my favorite plays of the game, obviously because of the result. It was a super cool play, a play we'll always remember, but how they got there is really cool. The Bills run mesh a ton. It's a big part of their passing offense where they take a player from each side of the formation and they run these like shallow crossers. They mesh, and then usually somebody will break out of the other side. Josh hits them. You move the sticks. So the Bills had a tendency breaker. Instead of running mesh, they showed the same look. It was Curtis Samuel on one side, Khalil Shakir on the other. It looks like mesh, but they actually run whip routes. And so they come in, act like they're going to run shallows, and then break back out to the sideline. Credit to Denver. They were in man coverage. They were in phase. They didn't fall for it. Great idea. Didn't work. So now Josh has got to extend. And there's Denver. They're all serious about their cage rush, making sure they don't get too far up the field. And so, Josh, we're typically used to see him kind of push to the sideline and then eventually throws it and something great happens. Josh kind of had to just stay there and operate kind of caged in. He motions Ty Johnson to come across the field and just rips it down there. But kind of fun to see how they went from, hey, we run mesh a lot. We're going to do a tendency breaker. It didn't work. Still got to an answer. The completion to Dawson Knox, beautiful play. Denver runs a lot of one high, middle of the field, closed man coverage. That's what they gave the Bills a ton. Where's that vulnerable? Outside, towards the numbers. And so the Bills had a little 3-man route going. It was really a 2-man route. They had Curtis Samuel on a vertical, and it was really about Kincaid and Knox. And Kincaid breaks inside, occupies that middle of the field safety. Knox crosses towards the sideline, and it's vulnerable. There's so much space to fit that throw. Josh puts it out there for a big gain. And then Dalton Kincaid, again, one high middle of the field, closed, man coverage. Kincaid on PJ Locke, out and up, vertical separation, put it on him. Beautiful stuff. Let me talk about some run game elements here. Obviously, the Bills ran the ball very successfully, 210 yards, over 5 yards a carry. It was a great day running the football. Why? Utility blockers. Of course, James Cook's awesome. Of course, the offensive line is awesome. But Mac Hollins, as a play side blocker, he played 9 snaps of inline tight end. This has been something that's happened over the last several weeks, really since Kincaid got injured. They started to use Mac Hollins in a lot of the blocking roles that they had Kincaid do, and he's continuing to do it. About 8, 9, 10 snaps a game. Dawson Knox, of course, Alec Anderson, big part of it, right? 6 offensive linemen. The Bills have been doing it for years and a ton this year, and suddenly the NFL world has finally decided that they'd watch the Bills because they're in the playoffs and they get an idea. You see all this commentary going all over the place. It's like, if you've watched the Bills like at all this year, you know this is what they do. And then, of course, Reggie Gilliam. The Bills are leaning into more two-back stuff, putting Reggie Gilliam on the field and having him open holes. And that's a big part of this rushing equation. Not to mention, of course, the backs are good and the offensive line is good. You had polars. You had zone. You had 15 zone runs, 73% success rate on zone runs against Denver. You had 20 gap runs. You're over 5 yards per carry, either concept. You also had 4 design runs for Josh Allen, and that's just a lot to account for. You have like a multifaceted run scheme that challenge you with a lot of scheme, a lot of big people, moving bodies, and then all of a sudden, here's Josh Allen running the football. It's a lot to deal with, and especially, like, I appreciated the Bills' run scheme in this game because I also watch Denver's run scheme. It's super vanilla. They don't do anything special. They run duo. They run off tackle. It's like, what are you doing? There's nothing dynamic about how you're trying to run the football. Night and day. Why is Denver not good at running the football? Not because they don't have a good offensive line, not because they don't have capable backs. Their scheme is boring. They don't challenge you in any particular way. And so just a lot to account for, but really at the end of it, and when you watch the tape, you can feel it. The Bills were the more physical team. Created displacement, moved bodies out of the way, yards after contact. They came out, they knew about playoff football. They knew that everything cranks up, the intensity's another level, and welcome back to the postseason, Denver. It's been 9 years. Hope you got a little taste, but you're not ready. You're not ready for the big dogs yet. You're just not. The Bills were the more physical football team by far in this one. All right, we're going to do offensive snap counts. We'll talk defense here on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with me. This is a message from our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is Taxes. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. All right, let's get into these offensive snap counts. 76 snaps for the Bills on offense. Quarterback, Josh Allen, 93%. Mitch Trubisky, 7%. At running back, Ty Johnson and James Cook, both at 45%. Again, Ty Johnson's a third down back. He's the best pass blocker. He's going to play more against these blitz-aggressive teams. Ray Davis, 9%. You could tell they missed him at the end there, looking to close out that game. And that's what Ray Davis has provided this team. And, of course, he wasn't available. Reggie Gilliam, 9%. At tight end, Knox, 61%. Kincaid, 39%. Anderson, 29%. He's a tight end, let's be honest. And then Quentin Morris, 7%. And wide receiver, Mac Hollins, 68%. And again, 9 snaps as an inline tight end. You have to factor that in. Keon Coleman, 61%. Khalil Shakir, 43%. Curtis Samuel, 39%. Amari Cooper, 36%. And then offensive line, Brown and Torrance, 100%. Edwards, Dawkins, McGovern, 93%. And then Tylen Grable, Cedric Van Granger, 7% of snaps there at the end. All right, let's talk defense. The voice is going, folks. Hopefully I'm going to be okay here. I'm going to power through, but I can feel it, and you could probably hear it. Defensively, 3 things were the keys for the Bills. They showed this odd mirror look. We'll talk all about it. Pass rush and run defense. Very successful day for this Bills defense. I mean, they had that first drive. You know, they convert the 3rd and 8. They get the bomb to Troy Franklin between Rasul Douglas and Taylor Rapp. But then the Bills just put the screws on. I mean, there was nothing Denver had going for them the rest of the game. I want to talk about this odd mirror look. This is very interesting. You're looking for personnel diversity, something different for the Bills defense. Here it is. Odd mirror. They did this against Kansas City at the end of the halves, right? End of the second quarter, end of the game. And they broke it out again for Denver. And I think this is something the Bills like on long and late passing downs. So second, third down and longs against athletic quarterbacks. And I think they ran this for at least 8 snaps against Denver. So what is odd mirror? So it's an odd front, 3 down linemen. Every time in this game that I could chart it was Von Miller, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau. 2 linebackers, of course, Milano and Bernard. 6 defensive backs. Johnson, Rapp, Hamlin, Douglas, Penford, and Lewis. And they're very effective with it. So what they'll do is they'll rush the 3 down linemen. Then one of the linebackers will be a spy mirror where they kind of threaten to pressure, but they're really just mirroring the quarterback, providing secondary contain. And then, of course, if they take off, they'll go make the tackle. That's how Matt Milano got his sack in this game. And then the other linebacker will kind of green dog blitz. Green dog blitz means if your man coverage assignment stays in the pass block, you blitz. If they go out for a route, then you cover them. And the Bills will run different coverages behind it. But this is like a new package that they have for these third and longs. And good, right? The Bills have not been so good on these third and longs. This is a nice wrinkle. And it worked a lot. They got both of their sacks, the Greg Rousseau sack and the Matt Milano sack, on this odd mirror look. Again, I would guess at least 8 snaps in this game. They showed it against Kansas City, against Lamar, against Kansas City again. You have to think this is going to show up again. This is definitely a new wrinkle. It's an interesting wrinkle. Very effective against Denver. The Bills' pass rush was good in this game. I think that was one of the weird narratives that I saw coming out. And you know me, I'm as critical as anybody when it comes to there not being enough pass rush. But I thought it was pretty solid watching it, and the metrics support it. Bills got a 46% pressure rate on Bo Nix. That's outstanding, and especially against Bo Nix, who his pressure rate for the season was only 29%. You got a lot more pressure on him in this game. Now, he did well to escape and throw and all that stuff, but he was under heat more than he ever has in any game this season. Von Miller, outstanding game rushing the passer. He's been good this year. I mean, I know that Von Miller has a hate club, I guess. You know, he likes to be the punching bag for a lot of people, and he was terrible last year. He's been good this year. He's been good, particularly late in the season. Rousseau, Oliver, definitely the 3 best rushers on the field. When it comes to run defense, the Bills are really good in this game. Denver's running backs had 11 carries for 35 yards. Why? The defensive tackles met the moment. In particular, Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones. They were as stout as I've seen them, defending the run, really kind of taking it personal. You could tell they were playing with leverage, competing for their gaps, not letting guys get to the second level, keeping Bernard, Milano, and Johnson free. And with that second level being free, they can trigger downhill and make plays. I talked about the vanilla run scheme. It's not a very difficult run scheme to defend. And the Bills just took care of their business. I was really impressed with how effective they were stacking blocks, keeping that second level free, and guys ran around and made plays. They played the run well, and they tackled really well. The Bills only had 5 missed tackles in the game. Only 1 was by a back 7 player. So like 4 defensive linemen missed tackles. That's fine. That happens. But only 1 by a back 7 player. The Bills were just ready. I think that's what I go back to in this game. They were just ready defensively for what Denver had. I mean, look at the Marvin Mims plays. We had a lot of concern, or at least I did, about Marvin Mims and the big playability that he has. And they try to just do those dump down plays. The Bills knew they were coming, flew downhill, made tackles, a couple tackles for loss on those plays. Bobby Babich had his group ready to go. And I know there's concerns about it moving forward, concerns late in the season. I get it. But for this game, those boys are ready to go. And what I really like about this defensive performance, they didn't have any takeaways. We talk about this Bills defense, how it relies on those big plays, those big turnovers in high leverage moments. They didn't have any. They did not have any. And still was able to really limit Denver in a big way. So big hat tip to the defense. They met this moment. Bigger challenges are coming, but took care of business this time. All right, coming up, we're doing defensive snap counts. I want to talk a little special teams and, of course, my studs and duds. Folks, be sure to stick with me. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, comedy, and one of my favorite memories recently was attending a concert. The energy and the excitement were unforgettable. Now, Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking for tickets for an upcoming show, and I used Game Time. With Game Time Picks, I found amazing deals and could even see the view from my seat before buying. The super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, folks, welcome back. I'm powering through with my voice. Boy, it's struggling right now. Defensive snap counts. The Bills only played 42 snaps of defense. Defensive end, Greg Rousseau, 83%. Von Miller, 50%. Rousseau's been around 70% this year. That's a nice little jump. Von Miller, you could tell they unleashed him a little bit more in the postseason. It's good to see because he's playing great, even against the run. Epinesa, 43%. Time for him to make a play, right? It's been a minute. Dwayne Smoot, 46%. Javon Solomon, 7%. At defensive tackle, Ed Oliver, 81%. That's a nice jump, right? Daquan Jones, 36%. Jordan Phillips, 10%. Austin Johnson, 14%. Linebacker, Christian Benford. Terrell Bernard at linebacker, 100%. Matt Milano, 81%. At corner, Benford, Douglas, 100%. Johnson, 98%. Ingram, 2%. And then at safety, Rapp and Hamlin, 100%. Cam Lewis, 43%. Let's talk a little special teams here. This is the best I've seen the Bills special teams in a long time. Did some very good things. We'll talk about the fake punt first, though, because that was obviously a huge black eye. The first question that I had was, is it normal for Marvin Mims to be a gunner? Because if that's not normal, that should be a pretty big red flag. Well, Marvin Mims has 12 reps this season scattered throughout the year as a gunner. 13 now after this game. They have been setting up this play all year long, right? Sprinkling in Marvin Mims. That way it's not that weird for him to be out there, but still kind of weird. Obviously, the Bills didn't have much awareness because it was an easy conversion for 15 yards. Not a great play. Black eye problem. The rest of the special teams was terrific. Tyler Bass made all three of his field goals, both extra points. But what he did kicking off the ball is something that needs more conversation, and you're going to get it right now. So after the Bills scored a field goal on the second half, the opening drive of the second half, to go up 13-7, Bass kicked off the ball, and the ball landed shy of the goal line, landed around the 4, bounced in for a touchback. When that happens, the drive starts at the 20 compared to the 30, which is a normal touchback now. What happens? The Denver starts at the 20, they go 3 and out and punted. The Bills then got the ball back and scored a touchdown. That is what complementary football is. Offense, defense, special teams doing things together to win football games. Great special teams play by Bass. Defense gets a 3 and out. Offense takes advantage, scores a touchdown. Then later in the game, Bass did a similar kick. They fielded it this time, was returned 16 yards to the 25. Again, Denver loses 5 yards of field position compared to a normal touchback. Those yards matter. Sam Martin, 1 punt, amazing punt, 45 yards, all net. Amazing special teams tackle by Mac Hollins. And that drive starts at the 8-yard line, which creates a long field for Denver, right? That was the drive that they had an opportunity to get points before the half. It starts at the 8 due to a great special teams play, and then they miss a 50-yard field goal. And so it all works together. Like, if they were 5 yards closer, it's a 45-yard kick, that ball goes in. Hidden yards, but not so hidden, right? You tackle them at the 25 instead of the 30. You punt. You understand how this all goes together? It's taking points off the board. Khalil Shakir, masterful job filling in as the punt returner for Brandon Codrington. Big-time 23-yard punt return. Gave the Bills the ball at the 41. Ball was fielded at the 18. That set up the Curtis Samuel touchdown pass. And then, of course, Ty Johnson had a great 33-yard kick return to open the second half. Outstanding game for the Bills special teams outside of, obviously, a huge blunder in the fake punt. Studs and duds. I have no duds. Lots of studs. Studs, Josh Allen, Curtis Samuel, Ty Johnson, James Cook, Khalil Shakir, Connor McGovern. Great job by Connor McGovern. Obviously, the offensive line was terrific, but when you face a pressure team like that and all the blitzes and he's responsible for all the calls, big-time shout-out. Spencer Brown, Alec Anderson, Von Miller, Matt Milano. 2 good games in a row for him. That Jets game was awesome. He was awesome in this one. Looking like Matt Milano is coming back. Terrell Bernard, this is the best I've seen him play in a while. And then all 3 coaches, Bobby Babbitt, Joe Brady, Sean McDermott. All right, I got to get out of here. The voice is going. I got a lot of recording to do tomorrow, so I got to get this voice right. All right, folks, as always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. We got herd mentality coming up. We've got crossover Thursday. We'll get ready for Baltimore. A lot to do this week. And, of course, check out the Herd Mentality Substack. There's a link in today's show notes. And you get the All-22 review, film clips. I think there's 48 minutes of me breaking down clips, showing you all this stuff, all those vertical passes, the run schemes, that odd mirror look. Show it all. Check it out. There's a link in today's show notes to see the Herd Mentality Substack. And check it out. Would love for you to be part of it. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.